My family left me stranded in another state. See if she can survive alone. So I made 'em regret. Sarah Mitchell had always lived in her younger sister's shadow, and this weekend was no different. At 28, she'd grown accustomed to being the reliable one, the daughter who worked full-time at a marketing firm, paid her own bills, and never asked for anything. Meanwhile, 23-year-old Emma was the family darling, having just been accepted into the prestigious Parsons School of Design in New York. "This is such a special occasion," their mother Linda gushed as they checked into the Marriott in downtown Portland. "Emma's acceptance into Parsons deserves a proper celebration." Their father, Robert, nodded enthusiastically while scrolling through his phone. "I've made reservations at that new steakhouse everyone's talking about, prime proper. Only the best for our future artist." Sarah forced a smile as she watched the hotel receptionist hand over 2 key cards, both with Emma's name on them. Apparently, the room booking had been made for Emma Mitchell and guest. Sarah was just the guest, even though she'd contributed half the vacation budget from her savings. The luxury suite had 1 king bed and a pull-out couch. Without discussion, Emma claimed the bed, leaving Sarah to unfold the uncomfortable sofa. At dinner, when the waiter asked about their family, Robert beamed with pride. "This is our daughter Emma, she's going to be a famous designer someday. And this is Sarah, Emma's sister." Sarah's jaw tightened, but she said nothing. She'd learned long ago that fighting for attention in this family was pointless. Emma was the creative one, the special one, the future star. Sarah was just there. That night, as Emma posted Instagram stories about the amazing family getaway, Sarah stared at the ceiling from her lumpy couch bed, wondering when she'd stopped mattering to the people who were supposed to love her most. She had no idea that tomorrow morning would change everything. Sarah woke to silence. The kind of silence that feels wrong, like when you're expecting your alarm but realize your phone died. She sat up on the pull-out couch, squinting at the empty king bed where Emma should have been sleeping. "Emma," she called softly. No response. The bathroom door was open, revealing an empty space. No toiletries on the counter, no towels on the floor. Sarah's heart began to race as she noticed something else. All their suitcases were gone. On the desk by the window sat a single piece of hotel stationery with her father's handwriting. "Sarah, you're almost 30 years old. Time to see if you can make it on your own. Consider this a life lesson. We'll be back in a few days. Dad." Sarah read the note 3 times before it sank in. They had left her. Her own family had abandoned her in Portland, 5 hours from home, while she slept. She grabbed her phone and called her father. Straight to voicemail. She tried her mother. Voicemail. Emma's phone. Voicemail. When she tried to text them, she discovered they'd blocked her number. "This has to be a joke," she whispered, but even as she said it, she knew it wasn't. The cruel reality settled over her like ice water. Her family had left her stranded as some twisted test of independence. Sarah ran to the hotel lobby, her bare feet slapping against the cold marble. The front desk clerk, a kind-faced woman named Patricia, looked concerned as Sarah explained her situation. "I'm so sorry, honey," Patricia said gently. "But they checked out early this morning, paid their bill and left. They didn't leave any messages or instructions." Standing there in her pajamas, Sarah felt the weight of her abandonment crush down on her. She had maybe $40 in cash, no car, and no way home. Her family, the people who were supposed to protect her, had thrown her away like garbage. But as she stood there, humiliated and hurt, something else began to build inside her. Something dangerous. Anger. Back in her room, Sarah sat on the unmade bed and took inventory. Her wallet held $37 in cash and her debit card, which showed a balance of $86, the pathetic remainder after contributing to this family vacation. But then she remembered something that made her pulse quicken. 7 years ago, when her parents had terrible credit after her father's failed business venture, Sarah had opened a joint credit card account to help them rebuild their financial standing. She was 21, responsible, and had excellent credit. The card was in her name, but her parents used it for everything: groceries, utilities, car payments. Sarah had meant to remove herself from the account years ago, but her parents always had some excuse. "Just keep it a little longer, honey. We're almost back on our feet." The truth was, they needed her good credit rating. She opened her banking app with trembling fingers. There it was, the joint account with a credit limit of $15,000. And according to the recent transactions, her family was using it right now. A charge for breakfast at a cafe in downtown Portland. Another for gas. A third for what looked like a spa treatment. They were living it up on her credit while she sat alone and abandoned in a hotel room. Sarah stared at her phone screen, her finger hovering over the account management options. One tap, that's all it would take to freeze the card and stop their little vacation in its tracks. She thought about her father's smug note. Time to see if you can make it on your own. Let's see how you make it without me, she whispered, and pressed the freeze button. The confirmation message appeared instantly, account temporarily frozen. All transactions will be declined until further notice. For the first time since waking up alone, Sarah smiled. She wasn't just a victim anymore. She was about to become something much more dangerous. She was about to become the one in control. Sarah didn't leave the hotel immediately. Instead, she ordered room service, charged to her own card, and positioned herself at the window overlooking the street. She knew her family's schedule because she'd been the one to plan it. They had brunch reservations at Café Mingo at 11:30. At exactly 11:45, her phone rang. Dad. She let it go to voicemail, then listened to the message. Sarah, what the hell did you do to the card? Call me back immediately. The second call came 3 minutes later. This time she answered. Are you out of your mind? Robert's voice was sharp with panic. You froze our credit card. We're stuck at a restaurant with no way to pay. Oh no, Sarah said, her voice dripping with mock concern. Are you stranded somewhere without money or a plan? That sounds terrible. How will you survive? Don't play games with me, young lady. Unfreeze the card right now. Or what? You'll abandon me in another state. The words came out colder than she'd intended, but she didn't care. You wanted to see if I could survive on my own. Well, I'm surviving just fine. Let's see how you do. Sarah, be reasonable. I was reasonable when I paid for half this vacation. I was reasonable when I slept on the couch. I was reasonable when you introduced me as just Emma's sister. But leaving me alone in a strange city, that wasn't reasonable, Dad. That was cruel. Her mother's voice came through the phone. She'd grabbed it from Robert. Sweetheart, it wasn't meant to be cruel. We just thought you needed a little push to be more independent. By abandoning me while I slept. Without even saying goodbye, Sarah's voice cracked slightly. You blocked my number, Mom. You made sure I couldn't reach you. That's not a life lesson, that's emotional abuse. Silence on the other end. I want you to feel what I felt this morning, Sarah continued. Scared, alone, and betrayed by the people you trusted most. Enjoy figuring out how to get home without my credit rating to help you. She hung up and immediately blocked all their numbers. But Sarah's story was just beginning. 2 hours later, as Sarah was booking her flight home, her phone rang with an unknown number. Normally she wouldn't have answered, but something made her pick up. Hello, is this Sarah Mitchell? The voice was professional, confident, and unfamiliar. Yes, who's calling? My name is Victoria Sterling. I'm the CEO of Sterling Event Management. I was at the gallery dinner Friday night and couldn't help but overhear your sister talking about how you coordinate all your family's travel and events. Sarah's stomach dropped. I'm sorry, what? Your sister was quite chatty with the other young artists. She mentioned that you're the logistical mastermind behind the family, that you handle everything from booking hotels to managing budgets. She said, and I quote, my sister Sarah is like a personal assistant, but she does it for free because she loves us. The casual cruelty of Emma's words hit Sarah like a physical blow. Even when bragging to strangers, Emma had reduced her to unpaid help. But Victoria continued, I've been looking for someone with exactly your skill set. I run high-end corporate events and luxury travel experiences for Fortune 500 companies. Your sister's description of your organizational abilities caught my attention, and after doing some research, I found your LinkedIn profile. My LinkedIn? Sarah was confused. You've been doing freelance event coordination virtually for a small firm, correct? Your portfolio is impressive, especially considering you've been working with limited resources. I'd like to offer you a position with my company, full-time, remote with travel opportunities, starting at $75,000 a year plus benefits and performance bonuses. Sarah's annual salary at her current marketing job was $38,000. I don't understand. You want to hire me based on what my sister said at a dinner? Victoria laughed. Honey, I've been in this business for 20 years. I can spot talent when I see it, and I can definitely spot someone who's been undervalued. Your family has no idea what they have in you, do they? Sarah felt tears threatening to spill. No, they really don't. Well, I do, and I pay very well for competence and loyalty. Are you interested in discussing this further? As Sarah looked around the hotel room where her family had abandoned her, she realized something profound was happening. They'd tried to break her down, but instead, they'd accidentally set her free. Yes, she said firmly. I'm very interested. 6 months later, Sarah's life was unrecognizable. Victoria Sterling had been true to her word, the job was challenging, well paid, and deeply satisfying. Sarah coordinated exclusive events for tech giants in Silicon Valley, managed luxury corporate retreats in the Rockies, and had even organized a product launch in Miami that made the business magazines. She'd moved out of her cramped apartment in her hometown and into a sleek downtown loft in Denver, Sterling Event Management's headquarters. For the first time in her life, she was financially independent, professionally respected, and personally fulfilled. Her family, meanwhile, had been calling from different numbers, sending emails, even showing up at her old apartment which took them months to realize she'd vacated. Sarah had blocked them all and forwarded every guilt-tripping message to a folder she'd labeled, "Evidence I made the right choice." Then came the invitation that changed everything. It arrived on expensive cardstock with gold embossing. "You're invited to celebrate Emma Mitchell's Influencer Milestone Gala, 1 million followers achievement dinner." Sarah almost threw it away, but something made her read the fine print. The event was being held at the Grand Hyatt downtown, one of the most expensive venues in the city. The invitation mentioned corporate sponsorship and premium catering. A quick check of the event planning databases showed that the party had been booked under Sterling Event Management's corporate account. Someone had used Sarah's old contact information and falsely claimed company authorization. They were trying to make her pay for Emma's celebration party. Sarah stared at the invitation for a long time, feeling a familiar fire building in her chest. Then she smiled, not the fake smile she used to give her family, but a real smile full of anticipation. She'd taught them one lesson about underestimating her. Now it was time for advanced coursework. "Victoria," she called out to her boss's office. "I need to attend an event this weekend." "Family business." Victoria looked up from her computer. "Everything okay?" Sarah's smile widened. "It will be." Sarah arrived at the Grand Hyatt wearing a sharp black dress and her professional confidence like armor. The rooftop venue was beautiful, twinkling lights, city views, and a crowd of young influencers and their families mingling around cocktail tables. Emma looked radiant in a flowing white dress, posing for photographers and giving interviews about her journey to 1 million followers. Their parents flanked her like proud managers, basking in reflected glory. Sarah walked straight to the event coordinator, a harried-looking young man with a headset. "Excuse me, I'm Sarah Mitchell from Sterling Event Management. I understand there's been some confusion about tonight's billing." His eyes widened with relief. "Oh, thank goodness. Yes, we've been trying to reach someone all week. The corporate account authorization seems to have some issues, and we need final approval for the catering and bar service." "I'm afraid there's been a mistake," Sarah said calmly. "This event was booked without proper authorization. Sterling Event Management did not approve this booking, and we won't be covering the expenses." The coordinator's face went pale. "But, the deposit, the contracts, were fraudulently executed using stolen contact information. However, I don't want to ruin the evening for your guests. Please allow the party to continue for another hour, then begin the standard shutdown procedures. I'll speak with your manager about protecting the hotel from the billing dispute." 30 minutes later, the lights dimmed and the music stopped. The hotel manager appeared with security to announce that due to billing irregularities, the event was being concluded early. The room erupted in confused murmurs. Guests began gathering their things as servers quickly cleared the tables. Emma's face went from confusion to horror as she realized her milestone celebration was collapsing in front of everyone. Then she saw Sarah standing by the elevator. "You," Emma shrieked, pointing an accusatory finger. "You did this. You always ruin everything because you're jealous." The remaining guests turned to stare. Someone was filming with their phone. Sarah walked over to her sister with calm, measured steps. When she spoke, her voice was clear enough for everyone to hear. "I'm not jealous, Emma. I'm successful. There's a difference." She looked around at the crowd of influencers and their phones. "You told people I was your unpaid personal assistant. You used my credit and my contacts to fund your lifestyle. And then you helped our parents abandon me in a hotel room as a life lesson." Emma's mouth opened and closed soundlessly. "But you taught me something important," Sarah continued. "You taught me that I don't need people who don't value me. So thank you." Sarah turned and walked to the elevator as Emma's carefully curated world crumbled behind her. The doors closed on the sound of her sister's tears and her parents' frantic damage control. 3 days later, Sarah received a contract offer from the Grand Hyatt's parent company. They'd been impressed by her professional handling of the billing crisis and wanted Sterling Event Management to oversee all their corporate events nationwide. As she signed the contract in her downtown office, Sarah thought about the scared, abandoned girl she'd been just months earlier. That girl had been left behind in a hotel room, but Sarah had carried something much more valuable away from that experience, the knowledge of her own worth. Her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Her mother, still trying to reach her. Please, Sarah, we're sorry, we need you. Sarah looked at the message for a moment, then deleted it without responding. She had more important things to do than teach the same lesson twice. Some people never learned, but Sarah had learned the most important lesson of all. She didn't need them to survive. She was thriving without them.